So we're recording. The very first thing I want to go ahead and do is essentially walk you guys through how to log into the gun. So when you log into the gun, the very first thing that's going to happen when you open the Velocity emulator is it's going to go ahead and populate the username for you, and it'll say DDI RF, right? So in my case, I actually have to type it in. You shouldn't need to type anything in. You'll essentially see this screen right here. It'll say DDIRF, have a blank password, and say account name or path. All you need to do is hit enter. Once you hit enter, it's going to bring you into the login screen. At this point, you want to go ahead and enter in your password. This is how the gun knows who is logging in. So I'm going to go ahead, type in my password. Once I type in my password, because I don't have a default branch, it's asking me for a branch. I believe Kathy and Gerald have assigned default branches to most of the users, so you will not actually receive this prompt. So I'm going to go ahead, log into Bloomington, and right off the bat, we're brought to our home screen. On the very bottom here, I'd like to kind of bring your attention to this area. You'll see there's a warehouse. This tells me what warehouse I'm logged into, and this tells me who the user is that's currently logged into this gun. Please make sure that if for any reason your gun is changing hands, I'm just going to make a quick change here, you select F9 to log off. You'll see that right here at the bottom right. You do not want to give somebody your gun without logging off, because now everything that they've done has been recorded under your name. God forbid there's an error, a mistake, or in general if you decide to track performance, see who's doing what, how long it's taken to pick orders, all of that's going to be inaccurate, because now it's gone ahead and been booked under you instead of the individual actually using the gun. So please make sure that if you're changing hands, you hit that F9 log off and you log off the gun. Right, looking kind of at this screen, you'll see we have our home menu. The next thing I want to bring your attention to is these numbers on the left side. You'll notice that next to job list, we have 0, bulk receiver is 1, then we have 2, all the way to 9. These are shortcut keys. If I don't want to use my up and down arrows and hit enter, I can go ahead and just hit the number 1. It'll bring me into the bulk receiver, or I can hit the number 8. It'll bring me into code lookup. For this training, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of start with a general overview of the gun. We'll just kind of look over some of the menus you guys may be using. After that, I'm going to go ahead and move into sales order picking. I have multiple examples I'm going to run through. Please hold your questions until I've gone through all my examples. After that, we'll go over any sort of questions you may have with sales order picking. After that, we'll move into purchase order receiving, stock transfer picking, stock transfer receiving, and then we'll wrap up with how to do inventory adjustments. So just as a basic, most of your functions throughout the day are going to be done from the job list. So if I go ahead, hit 0, or just hit enter on my job list, this will bring us in here and show us all the jobs that are currently available. Anything that's, a stock transfer to pick, an order to pull, returns, everything kind of gets lumped up into here and has its own unique job that you will use to work. In order for me to go back a screen, I just hit escape, so that's what I did to bring me back to the home screen. This bulk receiver will be going into this when we do our purchase order receiving. Any form of receiving is done through the bulk receiver menu option. Bin transfer is any time we essentially want to move a product from one bin to another bin, whether it be the dock, a system-generated bin, or whether you're taking it from SH0101AA to SH0201AA. Basically, any sort of time that you're taking a product and moving it from one bin to another bin location, you can use bin transfer. We are not going to use 3 through 6, so you could pretty much completely ignore those. You're really never going to end up using those. 7 is cycle count. Underneath this menu, and we'll be doubling back to this, is essentially everything that deals with inventory adjustments. So again, towards the end of our training, we'll double back there. Code lookup is an informational screen. I'll be jumping into that in just a second. And finally, on the bottom here, we have maintenance. The way maintenance essentially works is if I jump in here, this allows me to print out any product labels, assign a UPC, or add a keyword. So just to kind of go over that, if I needed to print a product label, I would go ahead, jump into my maintenance, jump into my product label. I could type in my product and then tell the system how many labels I want to go ahead and print. Maybe I want 1, maybe I want 2. All I do essentially at that point is, for this label, select my size. So 01 is the code for 1x4, and then say I want 4 of these labels. So I believe you guys use the 1x4 as your standard product label, so in our system that's an 01 code. Right? Once I hit enter, that goes ahead, prints those product labels. Very clear cut. The UPC master allows you to assign a UPC to a product by scanning it. So I can go into this menu, type in my product, and at this point, this product actually has 2 UPCs. But I can go ahead and just scan what's in front of me, and it will overwrite and record that as my new UPC. Now, when you use the UPC master, it is unit of measure specific. So you'll see right here, it says UOM, unit of measure, each. So my each barcode is a 68672, bunch of zeros, 355. If, for example, I want to scan in a new barcode under the case, you'll notice on the bottom here, we have these function options. I can go ahead, select F6, and the system goes, great. Do you want to do an each, or do you want to do a case? All I need to do is go up and down, select the one I want, so maybe I want a case, hit enter, and now whatever I scan will be recorded under the case. You'll also notice that directly from the screen, we have an option to print out labels. If I hit F2 label, this will actually ask me and print out a product label directly from the UPC master. Very nifty. The third option we have is keywords. The way keywords should be used is if you have a product that for whatever reason has 5, 6, 7 different UPC codes, you would record the first 2 in UPC master if you had 1 for an each, 1 for a case. If the product only came in eaches, you would record the first UPC, and then if any other vendors had a different code or product number barcode, basically, I would go into my product keywords, I would enter in my product, and then I would select add keyword. Once I do add keyword, I would scan my new barcode or whatever the vendor has provided. This would go ahead, enter it, record it to this product, and then every time that I go ahead and scan it, it would be able to utilize that barcode. This is shared across all of your locations, so if one location adds a barcode as a keyword, all the other locations will be able to pick up on that as well. Alright, so that is essentially kind of just basic assignment or maintenance. The last thing I want to bring your attention to before we go into order picking is this code lookup. Code lookup is a great screen. It's informational, but it gives you a lot of data. So I could come into my code lookup and I could enter in a product number or a serial number or a bin location. But in my example, I'm going to use a product number. Once I do this, it gives me the product code, lets me know that this is a product, that's what the type is, gives me the first 2 lines of the description, so I know this is an RP35 water panel number 35. The unit of measure, which is an each, lets me know what the primary bin location is, which is the SH0302DA, lets me know what my on-hand currently is, if I have any on a sales order set to ship that have not been scanned out, that is are committed, if any have been scanned out or picked, and what our on shelf is. If you have any picked, your on hand minus your picked will give you your on shelf, because if you have picked the item, it is no longer on your shelf. Right from here, you'll notice at the bottom we have multiple function options. The very first one is F1 bins. This one's very nifty. If I hit F1 bins, this shows me the quantities of this product in any other location, and it also allows me to change the primary bin if I would like, directly from here. All I need to do is highlight the location I want to make my new primary, hit enter, and you see on the bottom of the screen, it comes up and goes, primary bin. Are you sure you want to make this the new primary? yes or no. Hitting yes will make this the new primary. Hitting no will just bring me back to the screen. Directly from here, we can actually jump into the UPC master. That is what this F2 UPC is. So I hit F2 UPC, jumps me right into the UPC master. If I hit escape, brings me right back into code lookup, or if I scan in a new UPC, brings me right back into code lookup. The next function key we have from here is F3 keywords. This is exactly like the add keyword feature. I hit F3, it opens up my product keyword screen, and right from here I can go ahead and add a keyword. So the code lookup essentially gives you multiple shortcuts that you could go ahead and utilize in case you need a keyword or a UPC right after looking up a product. It's pretty neat. So again, the code lookup is used for an informational basis. So at this point, we've kind of done a very, kind of basic overview of everything. Before I go into sales order picking, does anyone have any questions just about the code lookup or the maintenance that we've quickly looked at? No. Okay. I will take that silence that no one has any questions. All right. So before I jump into my job list, I would actually like to bring you guys into Inform and bring up one particular screen. So under Warehouse, we have this order picking progress screen. This essentially shows you any orders that are available for picking and their status. So the first thing that I would come in here and do is come in, make sure I have my ship dates or my range set up. I can do a range if I'd like, and go ahead and hit my search button. This goes ahead, brings up all the orders that are ready to be picked, as well as my transfers. And it looks like somebody actually picked all of the orders that I'd created as examples. So this may take me a little bit longer because I will have to create new examples now. On the top here, you see we have include orders without ship date. I do suggest checking that off if that's something you would like. Then I would suggest marking off refresh. What refresh does is it basically hits the search button for you every 15 seconds. That way you don't have to constantly refresh. And then the third option...
Hey, I got to just real quick. What is the red? You got red there under JK, yeah, and there's other colors. Could you go over that with us?
I will, and that's going to be covered during sales order picking kind of towards the end.
Okay.
That's a very specific thing. So, yeah, I will get back to that, but not at this moment. And then the last thing that I want to jump in here is this incomplete only. Depending on how you guys function, this incomplete only will remove any orders that have been 100% picked. At any time, you could always uncheck it, and then it'll show you guys everything that has been picked as well as that is in progress. But again, depending on the volume of orders you have, I would suggest marking off incomplete only. That way you're only tracking things that have yet to be picked or are currently in progress. All right. So all these orders that you're looking at here are actually going to appear on my job list. So I'm going to go ahead into my job list, and I'm going to go ahead and go into order pull. Right now, you'll see there is an 8/4. What this actually means is that we have 8 orders. 4 of them are priority orders. And I'll be covering priority orders towards the end of the sales order picking. So we'll go through the multiple examples first, and then we'll double back to those. So I'm going to go ahead, go to my order pull, and once I'm in my order pull, all I need to do is essentially go down to the order I want to pick and begin picking it. You'll notice that right here on the bottom, we have a ship date, which in this case is blank for this product, our method of delivery, which is the ship via, which is Bloomington Truck 2, as well as pieces and lines. Pieces are total quantities of all of the products. So looking at this, I have 10 pieces. That means overall, with all of my products summed up, there are 10 quantities going out. The lines are actual individual products. So on this order, I have 3 individual products. Just to kind of go over how to read this. So I'm going to go jump down to my 1973. This has a ship date of 1/30/120, and I'm going to go ahead and scan this out. So I'm going to hit enter. Once I do this, it comes up. It gives me the order number at the top, It gives me my customer, which is A&A, AC, and heating. It gives me the bin location that it wants me to go to pick the item, WH0319AA. And on the right, you'll notice it has this remain 1. What this remain is, this is how many pick jobs are left, including the current pick job I am in. So this example only has 1 product, therefore I only have 1 pick job. Lets me know what quantity I need to go ahead and pick, which is this 2 in brackets. Lets me know my unit of measure that I'm picking, which is an each. Gives me my manufacturing number, my product number, and then my description. So just like the system wants me to go ahead and do here, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scan the bin location that I'm picking this from. If I try to scan an incorrect location, one that either doesn't exist or the product is not in, it's not going to accept it. So I do have to scan the correct bin location. So I'm going to scan my bin location. I then want to go ahead and scan my product. If for any reason I scan the wrong product, the system will make a beeping noise on the gun and tell you wrong product. So I'm going to go ahead, scan my correct product. And now once I go ahead and scan this, the system brings me into the quantity field. I can go ahead and actually enter in a quantity of 2, or I can actually scan it 2 times. So because I've scanned it once, I'm going to scan it again, and each time that you scan a product, whether you're in sales order or you're receiving, it's going to increment that quantity by 1. Once this is completed, it should give you a prompt for a printer. Bear with me, I just have to set your printer. I spoke with Kathy, and she's going to go through and set this for all the locations. I guess she must just not have gone to Bloomington yet. So let me just set a printer for you guys, and let me make one other change. Alright, so we've gone ahead, we've done a very basic example. I'm going to go back into the gun essentially once I finish picking this and go pick my next example. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to go to this 1974. So again, the way to read this, SO stands for sales order. Then we have our actual sales order number, the 001974, our customer. And again on the bottom, we have our ship date, if there is one entered, our method of delivery, our pieces, total quantities, and our lines, unique products. And again, for me to go ahead and begin picking this, I go ahead and hit enter. And it looks like somebody named Mitchell R. Hunt has jumped into this order currently. So if somebody else has gone into the order and you go into the order after them, it will let you know that there's an individual currently working on it. So I'm going to go ahead, hit enter. That's all right that Mitchell is in there. And I'm going to go ahead and begin picking this. Now, before I go ahead and actually start this, you'll notice that on the bottom, there's a couple of these function options. The first one I want to bring to your attention is this F4 reverse. The way this essentially works is if I hit my function F4, it reverses the order that I'm picking this sales order. This is useful if you have a large order and you want multiple people to be working on it. So in this case, if Mitchell is in it, he can pick the first product and go 1, 2, 3, and I can go 3, 2, 1. The gun does update in real time, so it will not have you double pick anything. If Mitchell picked a line and I picked a line, it's not going to appear for either of us to pick any of those already picked products. So again, you can use the F4, and all this does is reverse the order that I'm picking my products. The other thing I'd like to bring your attention to is this F3 list. If I select F3 list, this goes ahead and shows me all products that are currently open that I still need to pick. Once I start picking them, you'll also be able to see what's completed. This also allows us to pick out of sequence. So by default, we pulled over the actual bin routes that you utilize. But maybe I take a look at this list and go, you know what? I want to pick the middle item first instead of the first one or instead of the third one. That's not a problem. All I need to do is select that, hit enter on it, and then the system goes, great. You're now picking that middle item. If I go, oh no, I made a mistake, I can always hit F3 to go back to my list, or you'll notice we have this F8 previous. F8 previous will bring you to whatever product is right before this one, so the previous product. So I can hit F8, it brings me back and goes, okay, do you want to select 18941? I do. So I'm going to go ahead, select my product, scan out my bin location, scan my product, and then I can just enter in a quantity of 4 because that's what's being asked of me. Again, we always want to fulfill this quantity that is in brackets. So I'm going to go ahead, enter in 4, the list goes great. What's the next product you want to pick now? You'll notice that because I picked that first product, we now have this new option called F3 completed. If I select F3 when I'm in the list, it's going to toggle between what I currently have open and left to pick and what I have to, and what I've already picked. You'll notice at the top right here it says open and then 1/1 means page 1 of 1. When I hit this F3 function, it's going to change this to completed. And you'll notice it gives us different options. The first thing that it does is highlight the top product. If, for whatever reason, I scan this product out, but it was a mistake, and I need to unscan it or unconfirm it, all I need to do is go to this completed list, highlight my product, and hit enter on it. And then the system goes, are you sure you want to unscan this product? Selecting yes will unscan it. Selecting no leaves it scanned. If you are towards the end of picking, say, a sales order, and a customer calls a salesman and wants to cancel the entire sales order, you can unscan everything you've done by selecting Kill Order Scan. If I select this line and hit enter, it comes back and goes, do you want to kill the entire order scan? Yes or no? If I select yes, this will unscan every single item that I have scanned so far. If I select no, it just brings me back. So I'm going to go ahead and just continue scanning through this. So I'm going to jump to my next product, scan my location, scan my product, and now in this example, say that right now it's asking us for 4, but I don't actually have 4. I go to that location, I only find 2. I then go around the warehouse, I look, I can't find any more. So if I only have 2 and only have a partial quantity, all you need to do is enter in that partial quantity and hit enter one more time. The system is going to go, you're about to enter a partial quantity. Are you sure you want to do this? Well, in my case, I couldn't find it. I do. So I'm going to hit yes, and it's going to go ahead and go, all right. Now, you have some items that are still outstanding. What else do you want to move on to? So I'm going to go back to my 15672. And in this example, say that I walk over to my WH0319AA, but I can't find any quantities there. You'll notice we have this F1 bin option at the bottom left. If I select F1 bin, this will actually show me all the bin locations that the product currently has quantities in. So in my case, there's only one location that this product has quantities in. But right from here, you can select another bin location if there are quantities visible in the system in there and choose to pick from there. So in my case, I'm just going to hit enter. And again, I'm going to scan that bin location to confirm where I'm picking it from. I'm going to scan my product, and then I'm going to enter in my quantity. It's then going to bring me back to my list. Now this is the product that I only found 2 of 4. Since I only have 2 of 4, I'm going to go ahead and back order. You'll notice that whenever you look at the list, there is this F4-BO. That essentially means that I can highlight the line, hit function 4, and this will back order the current quantities. So in my case, I don't have this product. It's not available anymore. I'm going to go ahead and back order. I'm going to hit F4 to back order. The system's going to go, are you sure you want to set 2 to back order on this order? I do. I'm going to hit yes. Once I'm done, now I have picked all of the products that are available for me to pick. I'm going to go ahead, enter in my floor location. So I'll say I put it in the staging area. And then it's going to spawn a back order, and it's going to ask me to print out a shipment confirmation. So right now this is set to the Bloomington counter. I'm going to go ahead and hit yes, because most of the time when you finish a shipment confirmation or you essentially pick the entire order, you do want to print the paperwork. So I'm going to go ahead and hit yes, and this is going to go ahead and print out at the Bloomington counter printer now. I've gone ahead now, I've picked 2 orders. Again, I hit escape, I jump back to my job list, I go to my next product. So this one, again, just to cover how to read this, we have sales order S/O. We have 001976, which is the number, ANA AC and Heating, which is our customer, and then again, ship date, method of delivery. We have 2 total quantities for 1 product. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in here. Now you'll notice one thing that's a little bit different about this particular job. This is a serialized product. When there is a serialized product, we try to suggest the oldest serial number. For the most part, the system does a pretty good job with it, but you do not have to use that serial number. In fact, you should pick and scan out the serial number of whatever unit you are taking. You do not want to take a unit, not scan out the serial, use the one that's suggested, and then God forbid the customer has a return, they come back, now nobody knows what the heck is going on with that serial number. So please, make sure that when you're prompted for the serial number, you go ahead and actually scan the serial number of the unit you're taking. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this. I'm going to scan my location, which is my EQN Wall 01. I'm going to scan my product. Once I scan my product, you'll notice that instead of quantity, it goes, great, what's the serial number you're picking? If I try to enter in a serial number that doesn't exist in your system, that's phony baloney for whatever reason. Maybe I accidentally scan the product code again, or I scan a serial from the unit that's next to it that's a different product. If that serial number is not registered to this product in the system, it's going to come back and tell you serial number not in system, and it will not accept it. Once I hit enter, it's going to bring me back and go, okay, what's the correct serial you're actually picking? So because I don't actually have any of this product in front of me, I'm going to use this suggested serial number. And again, you can either scan the serial barcode or you can manually key it in. Right, so I go ahead, I scan my serial number, now it goes, great. If I jump back to my actual listing here and do a search, you'll see the current orders that we're picking and have picked, and I'm just going to go ahead and wrap this one up. So we do EQN Wall 01, again, do my product 42886, and then scan out my serial number one more time. So 1819. I entered something incorrectly, 19, or that's an invalid serial. So let me cheat real quick and pull up a serial number that's in the system that I could type in. I'm going to cheat and look one up real fast, and let me do 190308937. All right. Once I've scanned it out, again, it's going to ask me for my floor location. If there's anything on back order, it'll go ahead and spawn it, and then it'll ask me to print out my confirmation. And I'll select yes again, and this will go ahead and print out to that printer. All right. At this point, we've gone over most of the basic types. There is a particular type of sales order type that is unique. And anything that is a will call or a pickup currently is set to be what we call a priority order. And the way priority orders work, I'm just going to walk you guys through this from scratch, is if I create an order, and I assign it a method of delivery or ship via of either pickup or will call, this will automatically get marked as priority. So I'm going to go ahead, add in this product, say I have 2 of these, and add in this product, say I have 2 of these. When I create a brand new priority order, if we go into my order picking progress screen, you'll notice that it gets added to the list and it is in red. Anything that is a priority. is automatically red in the order picking progress screen. You can also tell because the ship via will say WC for will call, or I believe PK for pickup. On the gun, when this job gets sent over, which is every 30 seconds, it's going to beep. It's also going to lock whatever screen you are currently in and give you a notification on the bottom that will say new priority order. You cannot scan through it. You cannot hit enter. You cannot hit spacebar. So you see right here it just popped up with my new priority order. The only thing I can do is acknowledge it and hit escape. So I cannot just keep scanning if I'm in an order or receiving. Now, you may have receivers that only do receiving, that don't do any sort of order picking. They may not need to receive this notification. If that is the case, please let Kathy know, and she could disable the priority notifications by user. So that way, only the users that need to get these notifications will be the ones receiving them. So I'm going to go ahead, say OK, new priority order. I understand that. I'm going to hit escape because that is the only way I can bypass that prompt. So I hit escape. It then brings me up. You'll now notice that we have 6/5. So we have 5 priority orders. When I hit enter, my priority order is always brought to the list. You will see, again, for the method of delivery, we have ship via, pickup, will call, and again, for my order, will call. It will also mark any priority orders with an asterisk and bring them to the top of this list. So right here, looking at this, I know that this 1655 is a standard order, but these 1981 and up are all priority orders. So if I want to go ahead and pick this, again, I just jump in here, I scan my bin location, I scan my product, and then I enter in my quantity. Then again, it brings me to my next product in sequence. I scan that product. I scan that location. I scan that product. I enter in my quantity. I state my floor location. So, maybe it's bay doors, not staging. You can enter in anything there, or you can actually scan something if you have a barcode for that location. And then again, I would print out my shipment confirmation. So before I go into order returns, does anyone have any questions about the job list and order picking? Okay, I will take that silence that nobody really has any questions about that. All right, so let's jump into the return process. I'm going to jump back to my list. I'm going to go ahead and create a return sales order. This is the first thing that I want to do. Right. Okay, when I create a return order.
What is ship via Bloomingdale?
This is Bloomingdale Truck 1. That's what it's set up as. So if you do BL, you have BL 1 and 2, which is Bloomingdale Truck 1 and Bloomingdale Truck 2.
Oh, it's Bloomington. We don't have a Bloomington. I see. So you're doing a return and you're saying it's coming in on
a truck.
And the customer bring it in, it's coming back on a truck.
Exactly. If you want, we could say, the customer's coming back with it, and then you could use maybe best way or something like that. Go ahead.
We usually return, like if he brings it back, we just say it's a return. We can put RT in there.
Oh, okay. Easy enough. So they could do the same thing. When I create my return order, I want to do a negative quantity because I'm not selling anything, I'm returning something. When that happens, if there is any invoice history for that product, you can actually select from that invoice and return for that price. In case of this product, I don't actually have anything, so I'm just going to hit exit. In order to do this on the gun, I do want to return it to stock, so that's what I'll be running over in my example. So I'm going to return this to stock. I'm going to save it. Now, these orders do not become available to be put away from the gun until the customer receives credit for it. So in my example here, I'm going to go ahead and credit the customer. I'm going to go ahead and just hit this create invoice button, and this issues my customer a credit, creates a credit invoice. When I go into my gun, it actually takes any items that have been returned to stock and puts them into this put back job. And again, the job list refreshes every 30 seconds. I'm just kind of forcing it so we don't sit here and wait. And you'll see that once I go into my put back job, it's going to go ahead and have this 15672 product. And just to kind of cover how to read this, there's a new priority order that came in as well. So I'm going to hit escape to bypass this. Good to see that people are practicing. You'll see just kind of reading this across, P/B means put back. This number right here is the quantity that I have to put back, which is 1. And then it gives me my product. On the bottom, we have 2 lines of the description, as well as a kind of a little descriptor telling me that I need to transfer one from the return area to WH0319A. So in order for me to do that, I come here, I hit enter. They did a reconversion last night and it wiped out my bin. I apologize about this. Sorry about that. Alright. So again, I come in here, I select this. By default, it automatically goes to the return area. The number in brackets is how many I have available in the return area to put away. So in my case, 1. If I try to enter in a quantity that doesn't exist, like 9, the system's not going to accept it. You don't have 9 in the return area, so how can you move 9? So I go ahead, I validate my quantity, I hit enter, and by default, the system will automatically suggest the primary bin for you. You do not have to use the primary bin. It will accept any bin location that you scan. If, for any reason, I made a mistake on the quantity, you'll notice we have this F7 quantity. I can hit this, and it jumps me back to my quantity field. So I can update it, change it. If I want to see what other locations this product may be in besides the primary, I can hit this F1 bin. And right now, looking at it, I see that there's 109 in the primary, and missing -C has -7. So if I want, I can actually put it in here, and now there'll be only -6, even though that's not technically correct. So I'm going to go ahead, put it to my primary, select it, just hit enter, and the system is going to go ahead and go, great. You've now transferred a quantity of 1 from the return area to the primary bin location. So I'll hit enter. It'll bring me back to my next put back job if I have any. So I'm going to go ahead and return this next product I have in here, the 39709. Same process. I select it, I validate my quantity, and then I scan the bin location that I want. Maybe I want to put this into SH0101AA. All I need to do again is scan that location. And as long as it exists, it's going to come back and accept it and now move that from our return area to that bin location. Any questions on the movement of returns? Again, those products don't become available to be put away until the customer receives credit. Any questions on the returns?
And if you marked it as inspect or something, then it goes, how does it go? If somebody marked it as inspect, does it stay, and then they create the invoice, and then it
so if
still go in, put away?
So if it is an inspect, it doesn't get handled on the gun at all. An inspect product will have to have an RGA code assigned to it, or a return authorization code assigned to it. So I could walk you through that real quick.
So if it's an item the customer is bringing back as special, it's going to go back to a vendor.
So vendor returns right now are not handled on the RF gun either. That's actually handled in the system because you have to create a return PO for them. And when you do the return PO, you then had to do it through stock receipts. So it's not actually scanned out to the vendor. when you do a vendor return. The only time that essentially an item gets scanned out that's on a return is if it's going back to stock.
Okay.
So let me just kind of walk you through the inspect workflow real quick. I'm just going to, do you guys have an inspect maybe? Inspect?
No, we don't have that.
All right, so let's do return. And what I could do is 15672, do a -1. If I set this to inspect, anything that's on inspect actually gets back ordered because it assumes that you are not issuing credit to the customer until it has been inspected. So once I have inspected this item, I need to go back into the order. I actually need to right click it and do return authorization code. When you do this, this will audit who issues the return authorization code so you can know who made this decision. And then you could say, I'm returning it to stock, I'm returning it to the vendor, I'm discarding it, or maybe it's a warranty.
Right, okay.
Yep. All right. Any other questions about returns before we move on? And again, like you see in the order picking progress screen, if I don't have the incomplete only checked off, it's going to go ahead and keep filling this up with everything that's completed. And depending on your volumes of order, that may be a lot to look at. So I always suggest doing this incomplete only. That way I'm only looking at things that are in progress. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, open up my gun, go ahead, and now we're going to go into receiving. So anytime we do any sort of receiving, whether it's purchase order, whether it's stock transfer, you would go into this bulk receiver. So I can go down and hit enter, or I can hit the number 1 on my gun, and it brings me in here. Once you are in the receiver, the very first thing you want to do is select F1 New. This creates a receiver. The receiver will save everything you scan, everything you do. God forbid there is a catastrophe, the internet goes out, there's an 18-wheeler that takes out the power line, the server crashes. This will save everything you've done up until the second of catastrophe. The other benefit of having a receiver number is a receiver is not user specific, so multiple people can go into the same receiver and work on the same PO. So in my case, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to enter in my purchase order number. I can also enter in a product or scan a product as long as the purchase orders for that product are due within 5 days. If there's a purchase order that, according to your system and your vendor's lead times, is not due for a month, when you scan a product, it's not going to bring up that PO that's a month away. But if there is a PO that's a week away, it will bring up that PO. So in regards to the product search, because I believe Eclipse allows you to do that. So I'm just going to go ahead, enter in my PO number, hit enter. Oh, I fat fingered that, I'm sorry. Wrong PO number. Okay, I'm going to do 1097. And again, it comes up, it shows me my order number, which is the 001097. It shows me who the vendor is, which is Research Products Corporation, I believe. And then it shows me the pieces, which is again total quantity sent, and lines, which are my unique products. In order for me to start picking this, all I need to do is go ahead and hit enter, and the system goes, great. Start scanning what's in front of you. If I want to see what the vendor should have sent to me, you'll see we have this F3 list option. I can always hit F3 list and go, okay, the vendor is supposed to send me one of these, the 1562, which is a water panel, RP35. They're supposed to send me 2 of these BFP 113 BSDs, these nipples, and basically I could go ahead and just kind of validate against this. So I would come in here and I would scan my first product. You'll notice right off the bat when I scan this product, there's this F6 linked option at the bottom. If there is a sales order linked to the purchase order and its quantity for this product, you will see this option. If I hit F6 for linked, This gives me my order number as well as my customer name and the quantity that is on that sales order that is being procured by this purchase order. So that's what this F6 function allows you to do. In my case, I'm just going to go ahead, I scan my product, I enter in my quantity, then I move on to my next product. So I'm going to go ahead and scan 18941, these CLBPs. So again, I can either go ahead and enter in a quantity of 2, or each time that I scan this, it will increment by 1. So you'll now notice that my quantity is 2, and my open, which is the quantity due from the vendor, is 2. So I have fully picked this. If I make a mistake and say scan it one more time, you'll notice that my quantity is now 3, but I'm only due 2. The system is going to come back and go excess quantity. Are you sure this is okay? If I select yes, it will allow me to over-receive the product. If I accidentally hit yes, I meant to hit no, not a problem. You can always come in here, go to the product, and enter in a negative quantity to subtract the amount you want. So in this case, I'm high 1, so I'm going to go ahead and subtract 1. Now my quantity is 2, my open is 2. You'll also notice that on every product that you are receiving in, you will receive this F8 label option. Once I have scanned my product, if I need to print out a label for it, a product label, all I need to do is hit F8 and the system goes, great, how many labels do you want to print out? Once I have completely picked my PO, I can review what I've done by hitting F3 list, make sure that my open list is blank. Again, similar to sales order, you'll see this F3 completed. I can hit this and see, okay, I had 1 due, I've received 1. I had 2 due, I've received 2. So for all intents and purposes, I have received in everything that the vendor has sent me. Once I have done this, the next thing I want to do is go back to my receiver list and hit F9 update. None of the values are live or available for picking or put away until I hit F9 update. So I'm going to go ahead and select this. Once I've gone ahead and hit it, it tells me my receiver has been posted. It's going to ask me if I want to print a receiving ticket. You do not print receiving tickets, I was told. Or at least none of the other locations have. So I'm going to say no in this case, or hit escape. Once I have done my receiving, it then goes and feeds into my job list and creates this bin transfer job. I can now go ahead and just put my items away based off this bin transfer job. So I could go down to this 15672, and again, just to kind of read this, B/T means bin transfer. The number 1 is the quantity that I'm going to bin transfer, and then the 15672 is my product. On the bottom, I have the description, and it's telling me that I want to transfer 1 from the dock, 2, and again, it always suggests the primary bin. So I'm going to hit enter. By default, it's going to bring me into bin transfer. You'll see put away is on at the top. Default's my dock, default's my quantity. I just have to confirm it and hit enter, and then scan the location I want to put this into. Once I've scanned the location I want to put this into, it goes ahead and tells me I have now transferred a quantity of 1 from the dock to WH0319AA. If I do not want to work off my bin transfer job list, I just want to scan what's in front of me and begin putting it away, we can absolutely do that. We go ahead to this bin transfer option, which you'll see is number 2. And bear with me for just 1 second, gentlemen. My recording is giving me a prompt, so just bear with me just for 1 second.